This is Jay Abraham, and this is one of the very, very limited Encounter with Jay Abraham series I do once or twice a year. We're going to do this with someone very special, but before I introduce him and why we're doing this interview, I want to ask a question. Would any of you enjoy taking a group of friends in a submarine down to see the Titanic? Would any of you, if you're single, like to be married in the Vatican and have Andrea Bocelli be the person singing to your newly married wife? Would any of you enjoy basically meeting as many celebrities and going out with them? Would any of you enjoy the pleasures the rich and famous have enjoyed? Well, if you would, or at least if the thought of doing that is at all interesting to you, the person I'm going to introduce you to specializes in bringing VIP concierge services to the rich and famous. But interestingly and purposely, we're not going to really talk much about his regular business. We're going to talk about the attributes, the characteristics, the methodology, and the skills that he possesses that enabled him to go from being a bricklayer to having one of the most prestigious, influential organizations of its kind in the world. And then we're going to build on that. But the biggest focus of this interview is not what he did, but how you, in whatever business, career, or life scenario, can adapt, adopt, and directly borrow the same attributes, the same skill sets, the same methods to propel yourself to make some unimaginable things happen. So, Steve Sims, hello.
Hey.
And I must tell everyone that I have been a beneficiary of your mastery, and you arranged for me one of the most outrageous trips by helicopter to the Champagne district in France, and private meetings at some of the most difficult to access wineries, and it was exquisite. My wife talks about it now, and we've done an enormous amount of adventures, and that's the pinnacle. So thank you for that.
More than welcome. It's a pleasure.
Okay, so let's talk about the book that you wrote and why you wrote it. The title is Bluefishing?
Yep.
Bluefishing happens to be, for those people that are scratching their head, an extension of the name of his company. So tell us about why, what, everything you can to set the stage. And I'm going to go deep and ask you, in behalf of our viewers, listeners, however they're consuming this, some pretty provocative questions. But how did this come about?
20 plus years in becoming the most well-known concierge firm to that niche market. The company was called Bluefish, and there just became this terminology that when we pulled something off that other people perceived as impossible, there was just this tongue-in-cheek, and you bluefish the hell out of it, or that's the life of a bluefish. So it became a tongue-in-cheek thing.
Okay.
And over the many years of getting a lot of PR, we've done a lot of media, a lot of TV shows, a lot of press. People actually always asked us to do a book, but they always wanted the book to reveal the A-list celebrities, and not only the rich and the rich and famous, but the richer and unknown. What they got up to, where they spent their money, all of this. We didn't want to be a tell-all, and if we did, we'd be dead by cocktail hour.
Of course.
So then,
I love that. You make great analogies. Dead by cocktail hour. I'm going to borrow that. Go ahead.
Yours. But then, luckily,
can I trademark it?
Yeah, yours.
Okay.
Then over about the past 7 years, I started doing some speeches and some media where people weren't so much asking me about, hey, can you please explain, the best hotel in Italy, or how you got to do this with Elton John, anything like that. It was a case of, we'd love to understand how we can use the things that you do for our business, for our branding, for our marketing. And then it came to me a couple of years ago, as you know, I got approached, and this company that I didn't even recognize how big they were, this Simon Schuster, I met up with them in New York.
Right.
It was a chance meeting. I wasn't even supposed to be there, but it had snowed and my other meetings had got cancelled. I met up with this person from Simon Schuster, and they went, "We'd like to do a book just on kind of like your methodology and your tactics and your techniques." And I then liked the fact that being 50,
Yes.
classing myself because of my family, because of the way I hold myself, how I live my life, I class myself as a wealthy, educated man, and neither money or school has anything to do with either of those
agree.
two things. I found this is a platform to be able to tell people, look, get out of the way of your own head. Get simple and stupid with it. If a blunt instrument from London can do it, so can you. And this was my way of hopefully helping people get back into the communication train.
Great answer. But I happen to have private knowledge that what you shared is true, applicable, and very, very easy if somebody embraces it. The problem with life is people really don't make things happen. The subtitle of the book is The Art of Making Things Happen.
Yeah.
And I've, for years, been an advocate that you don't have to be brilliant. You just have to continually make positive things happen. And if you commit to that, the cumulative effect is profound. So before we get into the book, I want to go a little bit off course. Tell me the most wildly eclectic adventure you've arranged for somebody.
Only based on the fact that I'm a biker from London.
Okay.
The fact that I was asked to do an exclusive restaurant in Florence.
Okay.
And if anyone knows anything about Tuscan life, they don't have exclusive restaurants. You know, you go to a restaurant in Florence, and by the end of the night, you've got an enlarged family because everyone's going, "Hey, pass me the bread.
Yes.
Try this wine."
Good. Yes.
And that's the whole point of Tuscan life. We had to give this guy an exclusive restaurant, so we took over the Accademia, which is the museum that houses Michelangelo's David.
Oh, that's wild.
And we set up a table of 6 at the feet of David, and they had this beautiful dinner. And then halfway through, we had a string quartet.
Right.
Halfway through the dinner, I told them that I would get hold of a local singer to just give them some entertainment during dinner. What I didn't tell them was it was the maestro Andrea Bocelli, and he came in and sang to them and serenaded them while they're watching him and looking up to Michelangelo's David. And I just sat there on the side, and to be honest with you, got these cold chills and just thought, damn, this is what I do. It's pretty cool.
Now, let me ask you a different question. And is there much of any request that you can't fulfill and what's the word I want to use? Outperform their expectation?
Well, for a start, I only do something if someone's passionate about it. I get a lot of people that come to me going, "Oh, I need to do this,"
but they're really not as committed.
They're not into it. I'll get people say to me, "I need to be seen with I need to be seen with Angelina Jolie because I've got a skincare product that she should promote," or "I need to be seen with Oprah Winfrey because it'll help my business." We're not career builder, So unless it's kind of like a passion of yours, we don't want to do it.
And it's got to be a true experiential thing.
Oh, it's got to be. It's got to be something that you basically take, like the Andrea Bocelli experience.
That's wonderful.
The guy left. He had no memento. He had some photographs, but that was it, you know? But he's got one of the coolest cocktail stories there is.
You got to agree.
But the second part of that question is both easy to answer for its sadness. People dilute their dreams. Now, I can ask you how much money you've got in your bank account. I can ask you about your religion. I can ask you the last time you had sex. All of those questions may make you feel a bit uncomfortable, but there's a fact.
Yes.
There's an answer to it.
Right.
If I ask you what's going to wake you up at 2 o'clock in the morning as your deepest desire, now that's getting really vulnerable. That's getting into your core.
I love that.
You'd be amazed at how many people don't want to answer that question. So
or don't know the answer to that question.
Or don't know how far they can take it.
Yes.
So people will go, "Oh, I want to do this." And then they'll come to me, and for fear of looking stupid.
Yes.
And I find that most of our problems start with the fear of embarrassment.
Okay.
Get that out of your way, you'll try anything. But they'll come to me and they'll go, they want to do this. And I go, oh, I'd really, and they'll scale it back. So being able to over deliver when you've already diluted your bloody dream, it's a walk in the park.
It makes total sense. But you're a better advocate for them than they are for themselves.
Oh, yeah. And I also don't want to do anything that bores me.
Yes.
So when someone comes to me and they say, look, I want to meet the rock band Journey. No, it's not going to be good enough. I'm going to put you on stage. You're going to sing 3 tunes and you're going to become deemed the shortest term lead singer of Journey. That's
I love it.
So, and that's what we did, as you know, for one of Joe's people.
Yes.
So I want to be able to take your dream and your passion and your checkbook and basically overachieve anything that can be done. And I want to take it to my level, not yours.
And your passion for wanting to do that is so self-evident in this discussion that I'm actually a little stunned. Okay, my voice is a little bad today, so I apologize. So let's get into not what you've done and not how remarkable your career growth and fulfilling aspirations has been, but what everyone else can take directly or indirectly from it and how they can apply it business, career, life. Okay?
Yep.
Now, just because I want to be loyal to the integrity of what you're trying to share, I'm going to refer to notes, but not because I'm trying to disrespect you. I want to make sure I respect you. Okay, so let's start with the first chapter. Let's knock down some walls. Let's talk about it. Go ahead. By the way, if I ask you a question that is dumb, awkward, or undervaluing the knowledge you could share with the viewer, just say, Jay, that's a okay question, but a better one is blank. And this is not about me. It's about the viewer.
All right.
Okay, let's knock down some walls.
I'm amazed at how many people will think about doing something and then spend the next 20 seconds or maybe the next 20 words telling you all the reasons why it can't happen. And they'll say, look, I'd really like to buy that yacht, but it's too expensive. I can't do that. And they'll put so much energy into all the reasons why it can't rather than the one that it should. And you mentioned before about the intelligence here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very low on IQ. I'm very high on ICANN. So my focus, and you can have that as well.
Okay, good. I'm going to make a lot of t-shirts.
My focus is on going through the wall. You want to do something. Okay, I'm here. I need to be there. There's a straight line.
Okay.
You don't need to put a 20-page proposal together. You just got to do the first thing, the smallest step that gets you one closer to that goal. And then you do another step and another step. Before you know it, you got momentum, which can get through any wall. Momentum and passion will overcome absolutely anything.
And you know that old adage about the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step?
You've said it better, but it's exactly the same principle. And I'm just stunned at how many people will just big elephant something. They will sit there and they go, I want to do this. And then you see their eyes glaze over and they'll go, oh, I can't do that. And they'll get scared.
I don't know if you know this, but there's research and science that irrefutably proves that you spend and expend more energy, more, just energy is a good word, avoiding doing something than you do doing it.
Sadly, it's true. And I've built an entire career out of it. The simple fact is that anybody that knows me, including yourself, knows that I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed.
I would disagree.
I'm not the most intelligent.
You're a unique tool that most people
right. There you go.
don't understand.
Quoted by Jay, I'm a tool. Perfect. I'll take that.
God, I'm going to make so much money. I'm going to quit my day job, and they'll say, "How did Jay get enough money that Steve Sims arranges every weekend a trip for him?" It's the T-shirts he started selling.
It's the T-shirt. Jay called me a tool. The simple fact is that I keep everything simple, raw, and ugly. I keep it brutal. I don't overanalyze things. I don't focus on the energy on the no. I focus it on the yes. I know we can all sit here and think of every reason why we need to be taller, shorter, richer, slimmer, all of those. And we can come out with great reasons of why that can't happen. I'm there just to focus on positive energy, because positive energy will get me through absolutely anything.
So let's assume, and they have to read the book, and I'm going to plug the book continuously, and I'm just so we're clear, and I disclose I have no economic interest. I have a philosophical interest in seeing anyone I can possibly touch enrich their life. And enrichment is not just financial. It's having control. It's having fulfillment. It's being liberated. So I'm going to go out of my way to encourage anybody and everybody watching this to buy your book for their own betterment. It's not going to help me. And really, there's not a lot of money in selling books, but it will make a profound impact for the rest of anyone's life. So if I have this reticence, which is about 90% or more of the populace, how do I break out of it? Even taking little steps can be intimidating if I've been, let's say, step averse. So you got a suggestion?
For a start, that's a long question, and it's probably needs a longer answer, but I need to kind of like try and drill it down.
Well, let's come back to it, because I want to cover a bunch of things, but remind me at the end, say, we'll have a list of
We'll get to that.
And if we don't, it'll be the next segment.
Right.
Okay, so now we've knocked down walls. So let's talk about the power of the password.
So I believe that if I get a no from somebody, it's because I've either asked the wrong question or the wrong person. And my job is to utilize the power of communication to get the answer I want. Now, when I started my business, and I didn't know I was starting a business, I was a doorman of a nightclub in Hong Kong.
I know.
Yeah, hard to believe, but
Looking at you, I can believe it. I
was the guy on the door. Now, if you filter things correctly at the beginning, you eliminate 99% of the problems at the back end.
Explain.
If you let an arsehole come in your club with a couple of beers in him, then you know full well you're going to be tugging around with him on the floor at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
It's as brutal and as simple as that. So if I stop the a-holes coming in, then I've got no problem come the end of the night. And no one, believe it or not, no doorman actually wants to get in a fight.
Oh, I can believe that.
So I started filtering. I also thought to myself that on the nights that it was low, if I could get a cut of the bar, then I was incentivized now to get people to come in.
Yes.
So why?
So wait, but you've got a dichotomy, because you're keeping certain people out while trying to get more of the right people in.
Yeah, so
interesting. Go ahead.
It's just harvesting. You're just making sure you're looking after the right crowd. I'm amazed now, and I don't want to digress. I'm amazed at how many people market in the wrong swimming pool. I've always been stunned at how people do that. I was getting a cut at the bar. Why bring people into the bar that are already drunk? Okay,
you're a very good critical thinker. Go ahead.
Why bring people into the bar that don't look as though they can afford to buy the expensive drinks?
That's hilarious.
So it's very, very, very simple.
It's very logical.
So what I would do was I would actually go through the local magazines.
Right.
And this is in Hong Kong, and it would talk about the expatriates and different so-and-so's just... And it's just, even now, here in LA, we get these magazines.
Right.
And every now and then it's got, talks about these dentists that have just opened up a new store, this law firm that just won an award.
Right.
I would contact them, and I would say, hey, the party's on Tuesday night, blah, 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 starts at so-and-so, $100 get in, VIP tables, a couple of grand, here's the password. And I would give them a password to get into that club, because people can pay for things. But now I was adding a bit of desire on there. Why is there a password? And people would wonder this. It was a phenomenal filter. I would have some of the most powerful expatriates in Asia, in Hong Kong, come up to me and my fellow meathead and just lean in and repeat this password. Now, they had already paid, and they were going to pay inside. Yes. But this password got them in. There was now a hurdle that they had to get over in order to get in. And I would have these people come to me, and they'd walk up to the door, and they were kind of like looking all swagger, and they got that girlie on their arms. And they'd be like, yeah, I'm here for the party. There's no party here, mate. And we would blank them.
Yes.
Because it was so arrogant that they wouldn't just come out. And bearing in mind, the passwords we had were hysterical. We had things like, name 2 of the Teletubbies. We had Finish this sentence. One fish, two fish, red fish. That's where bluefish came
Yes,
from.
it's okay.
And then the toughest one, because bear in mind, this is in the 90s,
Yes.
pre-Google. Name the lion out of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And that was the one that caught a lot of people. I'll help you all out. It was called Aslan. But I would have people come up to us, and you'd have the dickhead that would come over and be like, I'm here for the party. And we would say, sorry, mate, there's no party here. And bear in mind, it's kicking off behind you,
Yeah.
so he knows you're lying
Yeah,
at
yeah,
him.
yeah.
But he's not going to face you, so he would walk off. But then you'd get the guy behind him come up that's got to say Aslan. And he'd be like, I don't know what the lion's called. Is it Bob? And we'd be like, in you go. You know, because they were having a joke with it.
Yes.
And by filtering the kind of people that we wanted to let in,
Yes.
we were now creating some kind of resonance
Yes.
with these people. It was fun. It was engaging. It was entertaining.
And lucrative.
Without realizing it, we were getting the right people in. Once they were inside, they were mingling with like-minded people that were successful. I was building these networking events up with my idea.
Yes.
And I had lower intelligence then. My idea was if I had a pool of affluent people, I could then dip my toe in it and get a job. But before I realized it, they were all looking at me to be their resource on where to go. I was creating my own job.
That's hilarious.
And so that's how it
profound.
came.
So, okay. So now let's extrapolate. How does my son who has a job, how does somebody that's just starting out of college, how do they use the password concept?
The password is deeper. It's the filter. That's the key.
Okay.
They've got to,
And what do they have to filter? Let's talk about the spectrum.
well, you don't put water in a gas tank. It's a stupid statement, but
I love you. I know your analogies are great. I'm gonna have you be my analogist.
There's be a book, the Jay and Sims Analogies, Book of Analogies.
I love it.
We should do it.
But
But
call
I
Simon
like-
and Schuster. Let's stop and do it right now. Can we get a big advance?
Yeah, we should. We'd call
should.
up Schuster
Yeah.
and say, right, we need that. Actually, that'd be a good thing. We should talk to
Go
him
ahead.
about it. I find that people should focus on the foundations rather than the roof and all the prettiness around it. And it's those foundations of filtering the people that come into their life. They should make sure that the people that come into their life are of value. They don't want to be carrying friends in. Friends should partner, support, and energize you for going forward.
Okay.
If you've got people that are zapping your energy,
Right.
removing energy from you, then they're luggage, and you don't want to be carrying that around.
I love that.
So when you are a student and you're going out, mingle around with people that are supporting you, actually giving you something, are of value to you, because in turn you will be more energized, and then you're giving that energy back. So focus on the people that are around you for a start. As they say, you are the combination of the people that you hang around with.
That is correct.
If all of your friends are dickheads, guess what you are? So that's the first thing. Then you've got to be able to utilize that skill into what you do. So don't try and put a round peg in a square hole unless it's a simple resource to pay the rent. You know, we all do those kind of things.
And there are opportunistic things you have to do.
You
But
have to do these things.
You're talking really about being a masterful, strategic, critical thinker.
I think I'm being simplistic.
But-
you know, I'd love to agree with you.
But
because
critical thinking is ultra simplicity, isn't it?
It is. But I'm trying to, you know me, I don't use big syllable words like you
I
do.
shouldn't
but-
either, because it'd probably be easier to understand.
But you've just got to keep things raw and simplistic. And you've got to stop being frightened of the fact that anything you do, you should acknowledge right from the beginning, makes an impact on you or someone else. Everything you do makes an impact on you or someone else. And you should be conscious.
Oh,
There you go,
another
Troy.
one. Everything you do makes an impact on
You or someone else.
T-shirt people. Write that down.
It's got to be done. But you've got to be aware, if you focus on that,
Yes.
then your perception on how you operate changes. And you can go into something, well, okay, is this helping me or is this helping someone else? And in helping someone else, it may help you. But if you go into that perception, whether you be 16 or whether you be 60, it does actually translate into how you live your life and how your life actually pays you back.
That's fabulous. I just came back from Japan, and I was troubled because their culture is based on kids getting right out of college and getting a promising job with a big corporation.
Yeah.
And And if they happen not to work out in the first year, it's a blemish that is sticks with them and makes them almost unhireable. And I said, how many people do you know who pick the right job or in the first year and keep it? I mean, to have that kind of pressure to get a job not knowing if you're compatible, if it's going to be fulfilling, and be penalized for not being the right match seems tragic.
It is, and sadly, there's still a lot of countries, India as well. There's still a lot of countries that do have that kind of structure and culture. And America's very entrepreneurial, and
Yes.
Europe has become a lot more
They have, yes.
entrepreneurial.
I agree.
And it is changing, and it is filtering throughout the world. This entrepreneur mentality.
Yes.
Because you can go back in the 80s, and if you were an entrepreneur, it basically meant that you couldn't get a job. And so people called you called yourself an entrepreneur to try and make it sound good, but at the time you were a hustler, probably selling used cars.
Yes, that's profound.
We're actually seeing that it stands for something.
I love it, and I can tell you a story after we're done about entrepreneur, and it'll be very fascinating because I was involved with Entrepreneur Magazine when it first started. Well, I'll tell you now, nobody even knew what entrepreneur meant.
No.
We had to send out envelopes that had the Webster's Dictionary. Not just definition, but pronunciation. That's how far back I go. Let's continue. Let's discuss how to have the ability to have something for everyone. What does that mean? What does it look like? How does it translate?
Well, it's a win-win scenario.
Okay.
You've got to make sure, and it's similar again to the impact situation we just spoke about. When you go into somewhere, and I'll give you an exact example, the academia.
Okay.
When I'm calling the academia and asking them to close at 3:00 in the afternoon, kick all our patrons out, and stay open till 2:00 in the morning when they usually shut at 7, there's got to be a purpose in it for them. There's got to be a benefit for them in there.
All right.
So whenever you go into any conversation, especially at that level, you've got to make sure that within seconds, the win is in their court. They've got to know what's in it for them.
Without breaching, excuse me, because I'll step on you because I get it, and I think you've provoked our viewers. Without breaching a confidence, can you give me an example of some powerful, short, pithy, outrageously provocative starts that you would use?
Yeah. For a start, it's your homework. You've got to get into your homework. You've got to find out what they're doing. The academia was actually going under renovations, and I know full well they were doing some galas, and you only do galas when you're doing charity fundraising to pay for the renovations.
Right.
So in me coming forward, I said that I'd been tasked by finding one of the most exclusive places to host a phenomenal evenings for some very prominent clientele. I can also see this as a phenomenal avenue to be able to promote this within that circle to help you generate capital for your renovation and gala. Would that be of interest to you to continue?
30 seconds.
So I gave them the ability to realize that I was bringing them a pool of fish that could basically pay for their renovations.
I love that. That's great. Continue.
I've done that with many people, and it's funny. I'll tell you a funny story. So if I want to get to somebody, and someone's either a celebrity, maybe they're a casting director, maybe they're an owner of a hotel.
Now,
maybe
casting directors we're not talking about. Okay, I just want to make sure.
But if there's someone that I want to get close to, the first thing I got it.
I thought it was fast.
The first thing I would do is I will check up on what are their hobbies. Now, we've all got smartphones now. It takes you 10 minutes and a cup of coffee to work out, do they like, equestrian, cars?
Right.
So you can do all that kind of stuff. Are they supporting certain causes? Do they go to certain galas? Do they go to certain school events? You can find out all of that stuff.
Right.
And you can buy a ticket and be in that arena. Okay?
Right.
And then I've waited until I've seen them go up to a bar, and then I've just gone up to a bar and I've ordered a drink next to them, and I've gone, aren't you so-and-so? And they've gone, yeah. Like, do you know, I've read some, and like a lot of people will jump in with, oh, I love your movies, or I love your music and stuff like that. Then you become a fan. You'll get a selfie and piss off, or they want you to.
Yes.
Okay? But if you avoid all of that and go, I had a strange fact that you collect modern mid-century chairs. Come up with something that is on their level, that isn't as prominent as the films are in. And they go, yeah, do you? And you go, I do actually. You know, what's your favorite chef? Do you like Herman Miller? And get into the conversation. All of a sudden, you're attacking them on an even keel. And then as you're communicating, as it gets hot and you feel as though there's a connection, that's the key. Then you kill it.
And how you kill it.
And you go, hey, I don't want to take up all your time because I know we're in a social environment and you probably got a table to get back to. I'd like to continue this conversation. Let me take you down your digits now and I'll give you a shout in a few days' time.
And you get them.
You get the number.
The private number. Not,
you get
not,
the number.
Not the agent, not the manager, not
If you've done your job and you've got on that level, okay, and you've got the digits, then you can send them a text while they're there and go, did you get it? Did I make sure I got the right digits? And they go, yep, I got it. Perfect. I'll reach out to you in a couple of days' time.
That's fabulous.
Now, I've actually had people since the book come out contact me and go, we met at a bar. Was that just happen to be, or did you positioned yourself
And how
there?
did you answer the question?
I've actually answered the question the exact same. What would you want my answer to be? And just left it at that. So,
Oh, that's hilarious. Now, okay, now let's translate this. How do we apply this directly or indirectly? Entrepreneur, career team member, starting grad of college.
all right, okay. It's the pool you want to be in. Okay, you want to find out that you're in the right place. Opportunity comes when you're in the right position to accept it. So you want to make sure that if you're going and you want to be in a certain industry, if you want to be in a certain genre, if you want to be in a certain community, find out where those people actually hang out. Find out where they go. Find out what they do. You may find out that going to a gymnasium in the middle of Palo Alto is the best place to be bumping in the Silicon Valley hotshots. So make sure that you are in the right place to be in a position to accept that opportunity when it comes along. So I am a great believer in positioning's everything.
I love that. And again, I'm purposely and unabashedly plugging his book, Bluefishing, because I think there's no one watching that can't benefit and elevate every positive aspect of their life in a very qualitative, not manipulative way by understanding Steve's philosophy and applying it. Let's continue. If we run out of time, then we'll do another segment, but they'll have already bought 1 or 2 or 10 or 100 copies of the book and already know these things, so it might be moot. Okay. Be the real deal.
How many people have you ever met that there's something fishy about?
Not bluefishy.
Not bluefish.
Okay.
No. Something that's just not kind of right. Now, I'm a great believer that my stomach is smarter than my head. So if I start getting...
Wait. Put it on the
T-shirt.
list. T-shirt.
If something suddenly starts going on down here, I can't kind of
But
fathom
not too far down there.
Not too far down, no.
Okay.
But my eyeballs are saying, well, look, it's a sharp suit, you know, and the language
Yeah.
is good and the accent's there and he's wearing an Audemars or Patek, you know.
Yes,
so
yes.
all the bells and whistles and trappings are there. Something in here is telling me something's off.
Right.
When you get that feeling, you should listen to it, okay? And all the crooks in the world, they don't all can walk around in striped shirts and balaclavas.
Yes,
They can be wearing 3-piece suits and driving Ferraris. So I've learned to trust it. When you meet someone that's maybe trying too hard to convince you that they're all that, they can look good in this, sometimes those costumes, those shields can cover the real person, and that's maybe giving you that reflection there. So if I've met someone and it's kind of making me feel something's not right there, but something is, I will often wait until I see them walk away from a group and then bump into them again and go, hey, Jay, you know, I just want to continue this conversation and get a second read.
Yes.
Go again.
Oh, that's
now,
interesting.
If it's still there, I've made my decision. Okay? But sometimes it'll be, you know, something was off. You know, you're okay. Yes. He could be, oh, I had a problem at work, or, you know, there was someone that I didn't want to talk to. There can be an environment that means that they're giving off a signal which is creating those feelings you're getting in your stomach. But as I say, I'm a great believer in try and find out, is that person wearing costume just to impress you? Is he trying to be someone just to impress you? Are they trying to show off just to impress you? And if that's the case, I want to deal with people that are real. I want to see the real, naked, raw person in front of me. So I can tell myself, all right, I can communicate with that person. I can resonate with that person. We can continue.
I love that. What's the application to everyone?
Well, this is where it gets really stupid. Everyone goes to Silicon Valley and they buy Vans and a hoodie trying to fit the mold. Everyone goes to New York Stock Exchange, they buy a pinstripe suit to fit the mold. Yeah, and this is the daft statement they all make. We want to be unique. You were bloody unique before you tried that shit. The deal is to be comfortable in you, to realize that I was put on this God's green earth. I am unique. I am me. I have my own viewpoints. Be willing to stand up and go against the grain, because no one that did anything amazing did it by following others.
That's fabulous. Okay.
Another t-shirt.
Now, this is great. I'm going to have such... I'm looking forward to my empire. And I'm thinking, if I pick all of your nuggets and I start doing that with everyone, I'm going to probably have 1,000 T-shirts. They'll be all over the world. I'll have franchisees. I'm already, taking the first step. That's right. Then I'll be the real deal. Oh, that's great. The real deal. All right, let's continue. This is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. 1 second. I'm going to hit the mic. Plug. No reason other than it's in your best interest. Let's continue. Let's continue. No passion, no point.
Yeah, Can I tell you a story?
No. Of course. I love your stories.
We had this guy. I had an office in Florida, and one of my team contacted me because we do travel and stuff, but I usually just get involved when it gets to the caller end.
Right.
That's the whole point of the big chair. And this girl patched a call through to me, and she went, "Can you take this call? There's something not right. There's something there, but something's not right." So she was smart enough to hook it over my end. So I got on the phone with this guy, and I said, "Oh, yeah, what are you looking to do?" He said, "I want to buy tickets to the Playboy Mansion." And it was the Midsummer Night's Dream. So it wasn't like the rented job. Yes. It was the actual proper Hugh Hefner Midsummer Night Dream party and the Halloween, all that kind of stuff. And this was back in like 2004, something like that, when it was something.
Yes.
So I'm talking to the guy on the phone. I'm like, "Oh, great. So you want to? Have you been there before?" "No, I haven't been there before." I said, "Oh, so you're flying in from New York, is it?" "Yeah, I'm flying in from New York." "And you want 2 tickets?" "Yeah, I want 2 tickets." So I went, "Oh, okay, great." And so the events, and it was just dull. There was something that was dull.
Yes.
So I said, "Oh, so you're coming over?" I said, "That's a long old trek to come over. You're doing 5 hours. Are you just going to come over for the Saturday night? You're going to spend a bit more time over here. Did you get over to California any other time?" "No, I like coming over to California." And you could sense that elevation.
Yes.
Something just
changed.
A tone. And I went, "Oh, where'd you go?" And I just wanted to go somewhere. I wanted a different tangent. Yes. I wanted to find out where this person was. He's like, "Oh, I usually go up north." "Really? What's up there?" And he's like, "I get out into Napa and the wine." And he was now on. And I'm like, "Oh."
So what did that tell you?
It told me that something wasn't right about the original request.
Yes.
I could sense something wasn't right here. But I wanted to play. And you can do this. It's very easy. So I'm now in his hot button. So I'm like, "So you like wine?" "Oh, I love wine." I said, "I'm a whiskey boy. So tell me why wine is so good,
Yes.
So he starts getting into it. I said, "Well, there's other areas. Pismo here and Santa Barbara." "I love Santa Barbara." Guy goes off again.
Okay.
So I've got him. So I'm like, "All right, now that I've got you, I'm going to see if I can get you out and in again. I need to know if I've got control of this conversation."
And let's clarify that this is benevolent. He's trying to give this man something far more than the man is asking for. Let's make sure that we understand we're not manipulating him malevolently. We're doing it benevolently.
Oh, I want to find out where the passion is.
Yes.
And it's from what someone's about to pay me, which is going to end up being like 20 to 30 grand.
Yes.
And he's not interested, yet the second he talks about wine up in Napa, I could sense the guy was stood up.
Okay.
So I went, "Oh, hang on a minute. I just want to pull out of here a second. Let me just double check. 2 tickets, was it, for Playboy?" Straight away, the voice went, "Yeah, that's it."
Same one.
And I could just feel. I went, "Okay." Anyway, back to the wine again. "How long have you been into wine?" "Oh, I've been in a wine for you." He went up again. So I'd gone out and in again to find out if I was in control of where the passion was. And I could find out the passion was most definitely not in spending 30K to end up in the Playboy Mansion. So as we're talking to him, his tone, and he mentioned partner a couple of times, And I said to him, I said, I need to stop the conversation here a second. I want to go out on a limb here. I mean no disrespect, but I want to be open. I said, are you gay? And he was quiet. And he just said, yes, why does that matter? And I said to him, I said, explains why you have no passion in going to the Playboy Mansion party. I'm going to tell you quite bluntly, I've danced you in and out of this conversation a few times, talked to you about wine, talked to you about North California. You're all hell for leather for that. You love it. And I can give you a fantastic trip, but you want to spend 30 grand on something that you clearly have no interest in. Why? And he turned around and he said, I'm a stockbroker in New York. He said, it's a testosterone-filled room. I need to throw people off the curve. He said, and that's why it is.
That's great.
And I said, good. This is what's going on. I said, I've actually got people going to that party. You're going to come over. You're going to be no bloody way near Los Angeles, but on your way out of LAX, you're going to pick up 2 of the ticket stubs. You can drop them on the table on the Monday morning. No one's going to be any wiser. In fact, if anything, refuse to say anything about the party. They can read anything into it. He was over the moon, and that's what he did.
And what did he end up doing?
He ended up going to Santa Barbara and then also going up into Napa. We opened up a couple of vineyards that weren't public vineyards. He had a fantastic time. He went back and, as I say, he went through LAX. I had a courier meet him, drop him off 2 tickets, and he dropped off a couple of little bits. There were some ribbons that they gave for the wristbands. He dropped them on his desk. Never said a word about it.
Oh, that's fabulous. Okay, lesson.
The lesson was to get to where the passion is, to understand what was really evoking. If you can hit someone's passion point, they'll sell their firstborn. But if they're trying to do it for other people's reasons, sooner or later it'll run out of gas and fuel. So get down to where the real core of the passion is pushing it.
That's really great. Let's continue. I love this one. And I need to tell you that 10 years ago, I was involved in the development, just a light development of discussion. It turned into a book that I had nothing to do with Fran Tarkenton, who anybody who's a football enthusiast, he was at the Super Bowl 2 or 3 times. They lost every time. He went on to be a very successful entrepreneur, but he wrote a book called Failure is Not Permanent. And it was very profound because he said it doesn't define you. It's just an experience. Now, take that, let's bridge it to chapter 6. Failure is just more discovery.
Yeah, I'm a great believer that failure doesn't define you, it refines you.
I love that.
So,
T-shirt.
T-shirt. I've always been a believer that, in fact, it was my dad. And I remember this so vividly. It was scary. As a young lad in London, my father was a construction worker. We're walking through London, and he wasn't even engaged in a conversation with me. He wasn't even looking at me. He was smoking his 15th cigarette that was consumed in the last 30 minutes.
Okay.
And he just leans over.
It's not okay.
And it's not okay. but
ahead.
That was the time,
Yes.
And he puts his hand on my shoulder. Now, we hadn't been in a conversation. He didn't even avert his eyes to look at me. He just puts his hand on my shoulder while still walking forward. And he says to me, son, no one ever drowned by falling in the water. They drowned by staying there. Then he takes his hands off my shoulder, never looked over me. As a young lad, I'm walking along going, what the was that? Where did that come from? There was no follow-up. There was no, pre-enter to it. Just dropped that nugget onto me. And it meant nothing to me. Till I got into my late 20s, and I suddenly realised that, there's the old kind of the fight's not over when you go down, it's when you stop going up, and all that kind of stuff. I want to fail. I want to fail regularly. I want to fail safely, but I want to fail on a regular basis because that's what gets me closer. It's what pushes me forward to discover that true light. So if I'm not failing, I'm not trying.
And you're also not expanding. I mean, people don't understand. If you have no failure, or if you have an employer, if you have no attrition, if nobody leaves and they say, oh, it's such a wonderful place to work, it means you're not provoking, demanding, or stimulating enough growth that it turns off the right people and turns on the right people. But I mean, it's the most healthy thing in the world. It's every success that's monumental came from enormous experimental failure. But people just have to realize it's not. It gets you closer to the answer.
I was in. I've always believed I can get advice from people in the strangest environments.
I agree with you.
And a couple of years ago, as a motorcycle nut, I was at a MotoGP race in Austin.
Really?
And I had these, passes. Typical me. I get into the places that people shouldn't.
I got a feeling you have no problem accessing about anything you want.
Yeah. And I'm in this garage, and I'm kneeling down while this mechanic's got the panels off the side of the engine.
Right in the middle of the race.
Well, it's just before the race.
Okay.
And he's getting everything prepped, and they've done all the qualifying and the testing, and they're just checking things.
Yes.
And you could see I had all my badges, but he could see that, I was probably some toff that shouldn't be there and was going to annoy him with ridiculous questions, which was exactly what I was going to do. So I'm kneeling down. I'm like, what are you doing? He didn't want to talk to me. He made no eye contact with me through the entire experience of this. And I, persisted. I said, what are you looking at? Where are you going into that? And he turned around and he said, I'm looking for the point of fail. And I said, what?
That's interesting.
He said, the second we can find a fracture, a splinter, a sheath, we know we can repair that and the bike will be faster. He said, so I need to find the point of failure. Now, I thought this is a race team that every race, like any motor racing experience out there or any kind of competitive sport, they spend millions and millions of dollars per race, and they are encouraged to find the weakest link, the point of failure, in order for it to become stronger next time. And then they're going to try and find a point of failure there, whether it be the tires, the brake lines expanding, the brake pads, rubbing off too far, whatever. They want to find the weakest point, the point of failure. I walked out of that garage floored by that guy's direct, I'm looking for the point of fail. And I recorded it onto a voice memo and I email it to myself. So I do. Yes. I wake up in the morning, there's all my voicemail memos. And I walked away. And then after the race, I came back to the guy. And by this time, the race had finished. He was at the back. And I stood with him. And I said, you have no idea what impact. He's like, oh, yeah, really? And then I started to have a chat with him, and I told him a little bit of things I did. We started conversing. Still friends now, but you can get advice from the strangest places that you never would have thought, again, if you're willing to be open to hear.
Lesson.
Be open. Learn everything from anybody and, discard things that you don't need or pocket them for when you do. But more important than anything, embrace failure. It's an education on what not to do. And you should thrive on it. You want to fail. If you haven't failed this week, try harder.
Now, I want to make a point because I think we're going to run out of time, but the point's pretty fascinating. We have lightly broached the outer periphery of 6 chapters. There are, let me count to make sure, 20 chapters in this book, right?
Think of the T-shirts that could be in there.
I know. But the point I'm making is imagine, and again, I am shamelessly advocating for this man and what he has shared with you because I think it's profound in its elegant simplicity and wonderful in its applicability in every aspect of your life. I don't do probably 3 max encounter interviews a year, and they're always with people that I believe have pieces of the puzzle that you need to embrace, adapt, adopt. This man is quite profound and humble and authentic, and his book is it's a disservice to use boring phrases like treasure trove or golden nuggets. Let's say this. It is the ultimate catalyst that can shift almost all the perspectives that drive your thinking and your values and elevate and accelerate and expand them at a level you can't believe. Plug. Now, I have 2 last questions. Well, 3. First of all, when, not if, when you buy this book or you buy a dozen or you buy one for everyone in your life, where should they go?
They can go anywhere that they like going. The Amazons, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, any of the usual suspects. I've got all the links on my website, stevedsims.com. But basically any major retailer will have it on there.
That's great. Next is What was the question we wanted to come back to in the beginning? Do you remember?
Oh,
I don't remember.
it was quite deep, and you were talking about tips or
You s-
traits.
You said it's a deep one. We can lay.
Yeah.
We can.
Okay.
Okay. We'll refrain today. The last thing is a very, very important one. What is the one most pivotal, critical, meaningful thought, idea, concept, realization, epiphany you want everyone who's watched us explore 6 out of 20 chapters to realize and reflect on and be haunted by positively from now on?
Oh, if we had to boil it down into a nutshell to
We
scare
do.
the crap out of you, I would probably tell everyone out there that the problem is you. These are simple, raw steps that you know. There's no rocket science in this book, but you're ignoring them through fear of embarrassment or fear of trying, or the worst fear of trying to over analyze things to the point of you're missing the most simple facts. So quite simply, the biggest problem in your life may well be sitting in your head.
I love that. You are a very unique, to say the least, and impressive and provocative and evocative thinker. And it was a privilege to have this discussion, and it's a privilege to help really get more people to know and to acquire the knowledge that you're very freely and openly sharing that most people have never been exposed to. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Appreciate it.